Hi there, Ryan G. Wright from DoHardMoney.com. And one of the questions I get asked quite frequently is, how do I contact an owner of a vacant house? Maybe you've been driving down the road and you keep seeing this house that's been abandoned, or the weeds are getting tall, and you're like, nobody lives there. That's such a great house. I'd like to get in touch with that person. Well, there's a few ways that you can do this. One of the first ways is find out where the tax notice actually goes. One of the things that's actually public records is where the tax bill gets sent. And so you can figure that out. One of the things we use is Investor's Edge. It's a tool where we can find where the tax notice goes for any property, basically. And so with that, if you don't have that, you can go down to the county recorders, you can do an address request, and you can find out where the tax bill is actually being sent. Once you get that, you can then send a postcard to where the tax bill is being sent. So what you're hoping is going on is the tax bill isn't being sent to the property that's vacant. It shouldn't be, because it's vacant. But if it is, then you're going to have to do some additional research. Or if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, and this is a ninja technique that a lot of people don't think about, you can do what's called a skip trace. With that skip trace, it will find the most recent numbers that this person actually had. And so you can spend, it's usually a nickel or a quarter or something, and you can do a skip trace and find some phone numbers. You've got to call all those phone numbers and say, hey, I'm calling about this property. I understand it looks like it's kind of been abandoned. I'm wondering if you'd be interested in selling this property. So that's another technique that you can use to get in contact with the owner. The other thing that you can do, which is one of my personal favorites because most people are too chicken to actually go do it, and that is knocking on the doors. There's a thing I call that's a 5 around. If you have the house, you knock on the 2 next to the house and the 3 across the street. We call it a 5 around. And you knock on the doors and say, hey, I'm interested in this house. Do you by chance know the owner? Do you have a phone number, an email address? Do you have any contact information for that owner? And the other thing you can do is leave a note on the door if nobody answers, and saying, hey, I'm interested in this house. It looks like an eyesore. Love to help out. Give me a call if you have any information about this property. It's another great way that you can do that. So with that, then you can also, if you're interested, you can do skip traces. If you're just trying to do one property, you're not going to want to do the voice broadcast is what I mean. You can do a voice broadcast. If you're doing one property, you don't want to do a voice broadcast. You want to pick up the phone. But if you do a skip trace for hundreds and then you want to do a voice broadcast, it could save you some time. So that's another tool that you should have on your toolbox in contacting vacant owners. So basically, if you're going after this vacant owner, there's a few ways to do this. Contact the neighbors and do the 5 around so you can try and get contact information, name, email, phone number from the neighbors. The second way that you can do it is look up the tax records and see where the tax bill is being sent, and send a postcard, a mailer, or a handwritten, whatever you want to do to try and get in touch with that person. And I recommend not just sending one, send 2 or 3 is ideal to see what happens. The other way that you can do it is do a skip trace. If you're doing a skip trace, you can call those phone numbers in bulk by doing a ringless voicemail. Ringless voicemail basically leaves a voicemail, but it doesn't ring on the phone, so you can do that. Or you can simply pick up the phone and make the phone call yourself. Now, a couple of things to talk about. There's some signs about properties that are vacant, okay? Anytime you see the grass is too high, or the curtains always closed, or you see some boarded up windows, or you see like a broken window, or any of those types of things, the postal workers trying to put stuff in, and the mailbox is getting too full. One of the cool things we have with Investor's Edge is we actually get the notices of the post office where they consider it a vacant dwelling. What basically happens is when the postman goes out there, when he tries to stuff the mail in, if he can't put any more mail in the box, he basically stops the mail until somebody calls in and says, hey, we need an updated forwarding address on this. And so we subscribe to that database because it's public information, and then we know the properties that are considered vacant. So it's a great way rather than have to drive around. Another things for vacant properties is, if you see newspapers piling up, or if you see like an eviction or a foreclosure notice posted on the front door, any of those different types of things you can be looking at and going after these. So the question really is, how can I contact the owner of a vacant house address? And we've talked about it. Talk to the neighbors and do the 5 around, do a skip trace to try and find the phone numbers, voice broadcast if it's in bulk, make the phone calls yourself, send a postcard. Great ways to contact vacant houses. I hope this was helpful to you. Please, if you have any needs, check us out at DoHardMoney.com and make it a very profitable day.